Welcome to Yeshiva Daf. We're holding in Chulin Daf Memches, starting from the third line from the top. Memches Amud Aleph, third line from the top. Says the Gemara, Omar Rav Yosef Bar Menyumi, Omar Rav Nachman, Reyo Hasmucho L'Doifen. You have a reyo, which is attached to the doifen, which means the ribs. So you have the lungs.
The ribs is the wall.
The translation is the wall. If you look at Rashi, Rashi says Dvuga Batzlois. So it's connected to the doifen, which means the ribs. Ein chosheshim lo. We're not choshesh to what? That maybe there's a hole over there. Why? Why is it so attached? The wall, the ribs, the rib cage, to the lung, because maybe the wall itself had a problem. The rib cage had a problem. So it connected to the lung in order to have support. Held the smochim, but
So we're not choshesh that there's a hole there?
in the rail, only in the wall. The wall doesn't bother me. Meaning the wall may have a problem. When you see two parts of the animal connecting, that means one of them needed support. So Shalosh was one. So I don't choshesh the lung needed the support. If I don't have a reason, I'm not choshesh to that. But held to tzmachim, so tzmachim is really a type of pus growing in the rail. Chosheshimo. Then you say, then there's some problem over here. So there's a riusa, and that's where you choshesh to amako. Ma Yehuda mishvei Davi me'omar echod zeh ve'echod zeh chosheshim lo. You choshesh, even if it's only next to the wall, even without the pus. Hey Chavdin, what do we do? Amar Ava Rabin Bar Shvaz Berli Rabbi Shvaz told explain to me. My sinan sakino de cholish pumi. You bring a knife that's not very sharp.
It's not very sharp.
It's cholish pumi. It's not very, it's a. Rashi says piv chodud v'dak, meaning it's sharp but very thin. So it's like it's.
Cholish sharp, no?
Cholish means like it's weak. No, how do they translate in article?
You have by Yisrael, Rashi says chadida.
Chadida is cholish.
Rashi says chadud.
Chadud, no, so it's sharp, but it's very thin. What does it mean? So what he tried to get to? Tried to be very exact. What, like Rashi says, that what? I want to cut exactly. It's like a small knife. You couldn't right there in between. And then you go and you separate the reyo from the rib cage, and you make sure that you make that separation. So once you make that separation, now you can check which one has a hole. If you see some problem with the doifen, so then you say it's part of the doifen, which is the issue. If you then you say because of the reyo. So you go check where is the issue. Even though there's no wind coming out, but the Bach takes it out. The point is that I don't care if I don't find a roost in the wall, I assume it's coming from the lung. He goes and he checks it with a lukewarm water, meaning after they took it out, and if you you go and he blows in the rail in water, and he says if the water bubbles, that means that there's a hole over there. Yeah, right, exactly. That was right. Only by Zutu Breda Huna Breda popular Avino, how the Nechemio Breda of Yosef, this way Nechemio Yosef checked. You telling me this about this case, which means what? In the case that's connected to the wall, and try to figure out which one has the issue. We're talking about a different case. Two wings of the reyo that are connected to each other. Right? We mentioned in yesterday's daf. They're connected together. And you can't check it out because the problem is even if it's sealed, you're assuming that if it would continue to grow, that scab that connects the two wings together will detach. So what? Yeah, I have a way to check it out. I'm going to put it into water and I'm going to blow into it. If it comes to bubbles, it means there's a hole. That's what you check it. Here, I'm going to go and blow into the rail. And if there's no hole, so I'll say the reason why the lung and the ribs are connected because the rib has an issue. I have a reason. I have a way out. If I don't find any issue, I'm going to be toiling the issue in the doifen. Aval also mi'ayno kiv treifo, v'ayno kiv treifo. But in the other case, what's the other case? The other case is you have two wings, two unois of the two lobes of the lung connected. They're connected together. So you're checking out which one has the hole. So if one doesn't have the hole, the other has the hole. One of them has a problem because they're connected together. So you're going to tell, your B'dika won't help me. Mimon of Shach, I have over here a lung that has an issue. So he says, I'm sorry, but Bishabo, when I have the rail connected to the doifen, so if it's in the doifen, there's no treif over here. If it's in the rail, there's a treif. But if it's the two parts of the rail, you'll be treifing one of Shach. Says the Gemara, Umi Omar of Nachman Hachi. Yeah, meaning that if you going back to Rav Nachman. Nachman says only when you have the tzmachim, which is the plus, that's when you choishiv na'anat. Of Omar is Rav Nachman reyo shenikvo. You have a hole in the lung. The doifen tzitamto in the wall, the rib is holding onto it. Ksheiro, it says it's kosher. Why is it kosher? Because you assume that it's So it's meaning what? Even though there's a hole. Even though you know there's a hole. But as long as you have the wall connected, you're good. So what was the case of Nachman? He said if you have a lung connected to the wall, so if there is pus in it, it means there's a hole in the rail. And therefore it's not good. Why is it not good? Once it's connected to the wall seals it. Says the Gemara, Lo kasha. It depends if the wall is naturally there or not naturally there. If the rayo is in a place where it's supposed to be next to the wall, so the wall is a good seal. But if the rayo is not supposed to be there, just right now attached to it, so we can't rely on it. Where's the place where the wall, with the ribs, is supposed to be very close to the lung? That's the top. We have the une, where we said the wings, the lobes, which are on top, they are very much connected to the wall, but not the other parts of the rayo. You have a hole in the rayo. The doifen tamto and the rib closes up. If it's at its place. It needs to be connected very, very strongly to the basar. Meaning, Rashi says it's between two ribs. It's like stuck between two ribs and it's holding it strong, as if you have an attachment that connects it. If it's just standing next to it, it's not good enough. You want to tell me if it's not connected so strongly, so then it's treifa? Meaning you're assuming that's the kuvo. Because why? Because it's connected to the rib. And there's an issue over here. And you consider it to be nekuvo. So if so, what does it tell me that now it's attached to the ribs? What is this Bryce talking about? This is talking about something else completely. Not talking about Reya. We bring it right from here to Reya. So you're telling me that, just to understand the concept before, if I have a Reya with a hole, if there's a wall, the ribs are next to it, so then it's okay, but it has to be attached. So you're telling me that the hole will be resolved if it's attached to the ribs. So more brings a Bryce. Bryce says, we talk about here the gabe person kus shifra, right? It says over there, if a gid of an adam, the gid, the aver, got a hole, pasul. Why? Because now he's not going to be yoyrik chetz. The liquid comes out spilling and not shooting. Nistam, if you're healed, kosher. Now you can give birth. The question is, the Gabi is a kushim chodan, he's allowed to be married. This goes back, even this hole can be corrected. You can heal. Says the more zeu lemute mai. What does it come to exclude? Lav lemute ki agam ne. Does it come to exclude by a reyo that once you have a hole, there's no way to fix it? Say more lohi. Lemute kum sholo machas and makol reyo deinu kum. Talk about a scab that goes and closes a hole by the reyo. That doesn't help. We do not, as Rashi said at the beginning of the Sugya Zelatrefis, scab is unreliable. We don't rely on a scab. But what we're talking about over here is not the Kum Shola Machas Makabareo. We're talking about a wall. The wall, and like we said before, it's the reyo is connected to the wall the way it's always supposed to be there. It's also attached. That's okay. So according to you, what's going to happen? What is protecting the lung that has a hole? The rib. The rib cage called. The wall, the rib. That's protecting the lung. So if you have a hole now in the rib, now the lungs going to be no good anymore. So right now I'm going to have another treifa. My new treifa is, if you have a hole in the rib, that may cause a treifa if the ray is connected to it. So he says the Gemara, according to you, we mentioned many nikuvas that you have, many holes. Here, there's a new one, there's a new case. So the Gemara, if I have a gallbladder that has a hole in it, and the liver seals it. According to you, ilu inkiv kaved lehodo my treifo litni nikuvas kaved. So according to you, if I have a liver protecting the gallbladder, and now you have a hole in the liver, so it'll make a treifo. So you see from here that what? That in other words, you're asking me, I found a new nekev, a nekev in the wall, and I also covered in marble. The other nekev in the covered. You're right. Of course, it is treif in that case, but that's not the case of the Mishnah. The Mishnah talk about when you have a hole in the limb itself, or in the aver, in the part of the animal itself. There's a problem, not a different part which affects this part. Because it's not talking about the meaning itself. You're right. If the wall will have a hole right across from the hole of the reyo, so the echanami will be a problem.
Echanami will be what?
A problem will make a treif. Yeah. What happens if you have tzmochim, meaning, like we said before, that you have growing in the reya, plus what we spoke about before, he brought it down as a question. You have tzmochim right now. Do we chayshish that it has a hole in it? Now, if you have tzmochim, you have plus in it, it's fine. I agree. Plus in the regular reya is not a problem. Mizdanzin badover. Mizdanzin means they are migamgin, they're not so sure about it. Tobamado malyo muglo treifo. If it's full, if the reyo is full of muglo plus, then it is kosher. It's treifo. Ma'im zaki ksheu. If it's full of water, clear water, it's kosher. So you see that it's not good if it has plus in it. It's not talking about a lung, it's talking about a kidney. Kidney is different. So Yeshiva is going after Rav Yirmiyah in the market of the butchers. He sees these lungs that have in this pus. Did you want to buy a piece of meat? And he was trying to see if he is gated. I don't have money right now. I don't know. I'm going to give you a credit. The Mepharshim would discuss is a chilul Hashem for the mechacha to take my credit. When they brought these 10 lungs, they have the pus in it, in front of Rabbi Yochanan, sent to Rabbi Shimon, to Rabbi Shimon leiteru. He did pass his mutter, but he disagreed. Rabbi Yochanan disagreed. So meaning, in other words, I'm not going right now to make them say it's a problem, but I prefer not to buy it because my Rebbe didn't allow When I went after Nachman in the market of Galdoy, Rashi's Galdoy with a chesed base, but selling the people, the shoemakers, for Hamlet Bishuka de Rabbanon, or the Shuka of Rabbanon, Chazi Hanoch the Kaime Kande Kande. So I see very heavy smoking pus in the rail. For the Yamal of Blumi, he didn't say a word. He went to the market in Terio, Chazi Han the Kaime Tinri Tinri. Tinri is even bigger, stronger, even heavier. Even though it was very, very dry. And it's up. If you look at Rashi, the second Rashi, starting maybe in the second line, so he said, it's very hard like a rock. That's what we have in the rail. They don't look like a rail. It looks like a pus. It's not the case before, it's a different case. And Rashi says that we say that's what we have, and it's going to be okay. Okay. So the word Itmar. Machat shenintzes bereyo. You find a needle in the rail. Rabbi Yochanan Rav Loza Rav Chanina machsher. So Rabbi Yochanan Rav Loza Rav Chanina say it's kosher. The fact that you have a needle in the rail. Rav Shimon Lokiv Rav Ani Bar Patish Rav Shimon Lokiv Tarfet. It says straight. What's it look like this? Then back up again. The Mar Sovach Yisor Mivnei Shmei Chisar. Umar Sovach Shmei Chisar. And one understands that the needle, it's in the rail. That means it made a hole inside. And the shaila is the chisar mifnim is a problem. Now we saw before machlekes. The gabi ray if you have a chisar inside. Is the machlekes over here too? Say well, the kulam chisar mifnim loish v'chisar. Just the inner damage is not a chisar. The halcha back of here's the machlekes. Ma'asover simfoino noked v'asoy. Ma'asover nikuvi noked v'asoy. How did the needle get to the rail? So there's two ways to get to the rail. Either it went through the simfoin, which means it went through the kane into the tubes that you have in the lung, and it reached the middle of the lung.
And he swallowed it.
So he swallowed it.
But how did it get from the tubes into the lung?
Because the tubes opened each other.
The tubes what?
Open. The kane goes straight into the lung.
I know, but it's not in the tube anymore. Now it's in the lung itself.
Yeah, it went through
it had to get through the tube to get into the lung.
Yeah, because the tube is open into the lung.
Is it open?
Yes. The kane, not the veshet. The kane.
How would the air from the tube get into the lung?
Yeah.
I thought it's like not through like blood vessels or something.
No, it's there's a hole. There's a hole. The other one says no. It did not go through the veshet, through the kane. It came from a different direction. It came, as Rashi says later, from the veshet. The animal swallowed the regular way, and then it made a hole. It made its way, penetrated, and went into the rail. So it made a hole from the outside, not from the inside.
So the first way was how?
First way went through the kane. It went swallowed through the kane. The kane gageres went through the windpipe.
Okay.
The other way is through the veshet. You just swallow food with the needle. The needle.
Wait, so it went through the con that goes directly into the lung.
No holes.
And the other way went through the veshet.
Veshet, meaning it went from a different place in the animal, and it cut through the rail. It made a hole in the rail.
So it had to go through all the stomachs and everything else.
It made a hole, many holes. So they find they opened up the rail, they cut it up, and they find a needle there. I saw the kamed avami, carried closer from avami. Someone like sure maybe it's kosher. So as we mentioned before, nikva means that it has a cut, and chasur means there's a piece missing. My chasur hilim b'chutz are nikva. That's exactly nikva. Mama just saying question before. And you see from Yechezkel is a chisaron. How does shekumul the kamed av yitzchuk nafcho? Someone like sure. What they say is kosher. Eisi ve'avim vitim Rav Zreiko. Hareyo shenikvo o shechaso. My chosro, right? Ilami bechutz ayu nikvo elabi fim shalei chisor vim shalei chisor. The same idea. So in other words, he said the same idea. So chosro means it's chosro inside. So the needle inside is cutting so many things inside. Chodesh shekumol gevei davami petor says trefu. Only the rabbanon machshir. What about the other rabbanon that says kosher? Meaning, as Rashi explains, he's not arguing the concept. It just says they had the raya in front of them and they could have checked if the raya has a hole in it or not. We don't have the raya in front of them. We just got it already opened up. Tell me I have a raya, come on, minkva. The raya is not in front of us. So he's saying, I'm not arguing the concept that maybe you're right. They could be kosher. But yeah, I don't have a way to check it out because I don't have the raya in front of me. The raya is already cut. So what time of delay? So if you have the raya in front of you and you find no hole in it, then it's kosher. From Nachman, I see the rayo, the inkiv treifo. But it says, meaning if I see that the outer layer of the rayo is okay, the outer layer of the rayo has no holes, then you're fine. What about the fact that we said that simfoina the rayo, which is the tubes in the rayo, if they have a hole in it, it's treifo. So here I have a needle inside, you have a hole in there. So he says the Gemara, what does it mean? He says, if you look at Rashi, Chaver Itmar, it's a pitsuloi kishmitpatza michaver nikov, it's a doifen shel chaveru. Meaning right where it splits, there's a tube and it splits into two. Right there as a whole. The kirot dover chaver koshu, darish belaz, oimed kedek doveinu sois sevanegev eloim migin aleh. In other words, in the intersection where the rear splits, there's nothing to protect that split. Because there's like a little bit of a spacing, right? Just like you can imagine. You have a tube, and the tube splits, it's hard, and nothing's protecting it. But later you have it's called basar hareo, the meat of the rail, which is covering like the soft material of the rail, which is covering it, and never it's okay. Okay, so he says, so only in that place you have a problem. Otherwise, you don't have a problem. So I'm not clear that the machat came to exact that place, and therefore I don't have a problem. Says the Gemara, the Duro de Canto, the Inkiv Ladichavre. Duro de Canto is called the dakim. The dakim is in the intestines of the animal that are cut onto each other. They protect each other. So it says, why bring the rayo when you, in other words, in the split of the rayo, you say they don't protect each other, and by the intestines, you say it does. You can't compare trephis to each other. This is a big story about trephis. Trephis, you can't come and say, oh, this is like this, is not goes like that. So actually explain, talk about the leg of the animal. If the leg of the animal, you cut it low, where you have the knee, so then it's make it treiful. If it's higher than that, it's not going to be treiful.
Which is counterintuitive.
Which is counterintuitive, right? Because he says, if you cut the bone, even though it's namuch, it becomes treiful. So you see, my treifos don't come with svaros. They have to come with what you know. So they don't bring me a raya from the intestines to the raya. Says they found the machat in the largest lobe of the raya, largest tube of the raya. They came in front of the Rabbanon, which are called the Rabbanon before, that they say that you found a machat in the raya, it's treiful. So then they brought the same story. They didn't say Yeser Heter. Why? Because they hold that a machat, you find a needle in the rail, it is treif. Here we have another reason to say it's okay. Because it came into the main symphony, it makes sense that it went through the symphonius. Because if it made a hole from the outside, how did it reach exactly the middle symphony? The middle symphony, it's all the symphonies connect to it. So the fact that it's there, you have more of a reason to say that it came from there, so they didn't say it for sure treif. There was a machat, there was a needle that was found in a piece of liver. So let me say it's treif. Says if you find it in the meat, it will be treifel. In other words, what's
the liver? Even if it's missing like
what's the problem having a hole in the liver? Hello, Marashi. Here's the thing. Chazina. Kufo lebar. Kufa means the head of the needle is towards the outside, towards the wall of the liver. Nekuve nakovi vasoy. So you say,
kufa is not the pointy part. It's the other
right, the other part. That means that's facing the outside. That means how did it get here? It came from someplace else. Because it didn't come through the veshet, because then it would be facing the other direction. So you're saying it came to the kavod, to the liver, from the other direction, because it's facing the other direction. So where did it come from? It probably came from the rear, because they're connected to each other. So where is the other area, hollow area we could come from? It came from the rear. So the kufi de kavod made a hole in the rear. Ikufa legav, but if the top part of the needle is facing inside, meaning the sharpness is facing towards the wall. So he says Sifoida, it went through the Sifoid, meaning through the actual tubes of the liver, meaning the veshet. That's only if the needle has a very wide edge. So there's no way he made a hole from the other edge, only from the sharp edge. So I look which direction it is. Avakatinto, if it's very, very narrow, meaning it's both edges are sharp, so assume it's going, it can go both ways. So I don't know where it meant, and I'm assuming it made holes through the rail, and that's how it got to the kavod. Says the Gemara, my shno mimachat shenitzes, tadintesa with aleph, be'oivi beis hakoisos. So beis hakoisos is, in the end of the stomach, it's, I think the way art school describes it as stomach number 3. So in the end of the stomach, you have something called a beis hakoisos, which looks like a hat. And it has 2 walls to it. It has 2 walls, 2 layers to it. If you have a machat, and you find on the wall of the beis hakoisos, mitzad echad, ksheru. If you find it, that it made a hole in one of the walls, it's ksheru. Mishtei tzdodim, you have it from both walls, it went out to the chalal, treifa. Then we don't say, let's check where the head of the needle is. Why by the liver you're saying, let's check where the head of the needle is? And here we don't say, let's check where the head of the needle is, let's see where it came from. So they were like this. I mean, there, because there's a lot of food and drink in the stomach, so it could be that it pushed it. So you want to say that, let's see which direction it's there? No, it could be that the direction is no raya, because it could be that the food and the drink turned it around, because you have a lot of other items in the stomach except just the machat. So when you have it in a place where there's not so much items over there, like the liver or the lung, so I'm looking down on the direction, I'm saying the direction will tell me how the machat got into here. But when it's in the stomach, we have their food and drink and all that, so there's no rayo in the direction.
Which case was he asking? When he said, by
beis hakoisos.
I understand, but which one? In the case where he said, Mitzad Echad Share, or
yes. No, in the Mishtei Zodim, even Mitzad Echad. Mitzad Echad.
He's asking on both cases?
Yeah, on the one. The one that you said is Sheiro, why I assume it's Sheiro?
It should only be kosher if it was
right.
Depending on which way
So
the answer is no.
So as long as we don't see it, we don't assume that's a chiddush. Even though you could be they did come the wrong way, I'm not assuming it's a treifa unless I have a reason to believe so. That was this. Trying to see the picture over here of the beis hakoisos, and this will end. This is the reya. Yeah, they don't really show it. Yeah. Okay. They say the goal, Rabbi Isai will stop over here.